It was an ordinary Sunday for most people at the Iguatemi shopping mall, but for Neymar, that day would be marked by something he would never expect. He had gone to the mall with a single purpose: to buy a gift for his mother, something simple, almost every day for someone who lives a life like his. However, as he walked through the second floor, trying to escape the hustle and bustle that his presence caused, he heard something that made him stop. A soft but persistent cry coming from behind a plant. It was not a common sound amid the coming and going of people. Curious, he approached, and there, between the leaves, he found a little girl with eyes full of tears. She was alone, without any adult nearby, and that immediately caught Neymar's attention. As someone who grew up surrounded by a support network, he felt a lump in his throat when he realized that this child was lost, alone in such a large place. Eloá, the girl, looked at Neymar with a mixture of distrust and hope. She told him, her voice still choked, that her mother, Teodora, had disappeared while looking for a job inside the mall. Panic was clear in her eyes, and Neymar had no doubt he could not just ignore it. He made a silent promise to himself at that moment that he would do everything possible to help that girl find her mother. Although the scene was beginning to attract curious glances, Neymar ignored the growing recognition from those around him. It was no longer about him. His mission now was to ensure that Eloá wouldn't be left alone, not in that moment. As they walked through the corridors of the mall, he tried to calm her down with an ice cream, distracting her as much as he could, but his mind was already focused on what really mattered: finding Teodora. Time passed, and the search for Teodora began to take unexpected proportions. Neymar felt more and more responsible for the girl, which made him quicken his steps. The people around him began to realize who he was, and the murmurs in the crowd grew as the football player passed hurriedly, trying to focus only on the mission of finding Eloá's mother. He had been recognized a few times along the way, but at that moment, it seemed irrelevant. The child's anguish was visible, and the only thing Neymar could think of was that he needed to bring some peace to Eloá, who kept asking for her mother. With each corner, Neymar felt the weight of responsibility growing, as if time was running out, as if with each minute the situation was getting more serious. They headed to the information desk, where they were able to contact the mall's security guard. From there, the security cameras were activated, and the search for Teodora truly began. What Neymar didn't know at that moment was that Teodora had already left the mall some time ago. She was lost, without direction, trying to find some opportunity amid her daily struggle. A single mother, unemployed, Teodora was desperate for work, but didn't know how to reconcile that with her daughter's needs. The lack of a support network, like so many other women facing the same reality, made her even more vulnerable. Neymar began to realize the magnitude of the situation. He felt a connection to that story, deeper than he imagined. He knew that without help, it would be difficult for Teodora to take the next step. The difficulties she faced weren't just financial, but emotional too. She was exhausted from fighting alone, and the image of her daughter being lost in the mall deeply troubled her. Neymar, in his privileged position, knew that in addition to finding the mother, he had the opportunity to help in a much more meaningful way. Something needed to change, and he wanted to be part of that change. As the security cameras reviewed the footage, Neymar tried to keep Eloá calm, who was growing more anxious by the second. He realized that, although the mall was full of people, the few words he could exchange with her were like a foundation of hope in a sea of uncertainties. When the news came that Teodora had already left the mall, a momentary relief washed over Neymar. He knew her mother was somewhere nearby, but the search couldn't stop there. What he felt most strongly at that moment was an overwhelming desire to do more, to ensure that those two wouldn't be at the mercy of the circumstances. He knew what it was like to be in Theodora's shoes, feeling like everything was falling apart, as if the options were scarce and the daily struggle was insurmountable. Eloá's restlessness didn't subside, but at the same time, he noticed that the girl trusted him and that motivated him even more to continue. Every step he took now was a promise, not only to her, but also to himself. He wouldn't give up until he found a solution that would make a difference in their lives. With the investigations moving forward and the help of the mall, Neymar got more detailed information about Theodora's whereabouts. She had left without a clear direction, like so many people do when they feel lost. And now, with the hours passing, the situation was becoming even more urgent. Neymar could no longer wait for help from outside. He knew that, at that moment, he needed to be the solution. At the same time, the responsibility was beginning to weigh heavily on his shoulders. He didn't just want to find Theodora, he wanted to ensure that she had a real chance to rebuild her life, to move forward, not to depend solely on luck to build a better future. Neymar felt the pressure in his chest, knowing that with the reach he had, he could change not only Eloá's life, but many other families who, like hers, were adrift, trying to survive, trying to find a path that was, finally, fairer. Looking at Eloá, with her sad eyes, Neymar made a decision. He would do more than just help search for Theodora. He would turn this story into something bigger, something that would impact many lives, including his own. When they finally found Theodora, the situation was far more delicate than Neymar had imagined. She was visibly exhausted, as if the weight of a lifetime of struggles had finally taken its toll. The woman was sitting on a bench in the mall, alone, seeming not to know where to go. When she saw Neymar approaching with Eloá, her face lit up briefly, as if that encounter was a small ray of hope in the midst of darkness. She ran to her daughter, her eyes filled with emotion, and the two embraced without words, as if the simple act of being together was all that mattered at that moment. Neymar watched from a distance, with a tight feeling in his chest, but with the sense that he was on the right path. He knew that, although the meeting was important, the real challenge was yet to come, helping Theodora rebuild her life. He couldn't just be satisfied with this small relief. He felt that their fate was in his hands and that with the right help, he could be a key part in this transformation. Those hours spent searching for Theodora were no longer just about rescuing a mother and daughter. They had become a point of reflection for Neymar. He couldn't ignore the harsh reality Theodora was facing, a reality common to so many women who fight alone, trying to balance the pursuit of sustenance with the responsibility of caring for a child. Looking at both of them, Neymar began to understand the weight of a much bigger problem than he had ever considered before. He, who had always been surrounded by privileges, by a comfortable life, now found himself facing a situation where he could make a difference. It was more than a simple act of kindness. He could give them the opportunity to start over, to have a real chance. Without hesitation, Neymar decided that this wouldn't be the only time he would help. He started to mobilize, not only to support those two, but to create something that would go beyond a one-time help, a foundation, an institution to support other mothers like Theodora, who were fighting against the system and the lack of opportunities. With the support of some friends and influential contacts, Neymar was able to do more than just get Theodora a job. He wanted to give her a real chance to rebuild her life. He knew that a job was far from the solution to all the problems she faced, but it was the beginning of something that could be transformative. Watching her adapt to the new job, he realized he was witnessing more than just a simple change of situation. Theodora was regaining her self-esteem, finding her confidence again, and starting to believe that life could be different. That in itself was a victory. But Neymar didn't stop there. He began to look for ways to ensure they wouldn't be alone, creating continuous support that would give them a chance to move forward. The new apartment he got for Theodora wasn't luxurious, but it was safe and in an area that offered more stability. He knew she needed to feel secure, both physically and emotionally. This simple gesture, providing a safer home, was one of the most impactful actions for Theodora, who felt that finally there was something concrete, something that represented a new chance. Neymar became more than just a friend or acquaintance. He was now a bridge to a different, more promising future. What started as a casual encounter in the mall soon grew to proportions Neymar had never imagined. He was committed to going beyond immediate support. He knew Theodora wouldn't be the only mother facing immense challenges alone, and he wanted to do more to help those women who, like her, needed an opportunity. Before long, Neymar founded the Neymar Foundation, an organization dedicated to supporting single mothers in vulnerable situations. The idea was simple: to give these women the resources and support they needed to overcome the social and financial barriers that kept them on the margins. The foundation not only offered psychological and educational support, but it also worked hard to seek partnerships with companies to ensure these mothers had access to employment and stability. Theodora, who was now working and taking care of Eloá with more security, became a central figure within the foundation, representing the change that could be achieved with a little support and opportunity. She became an advocate for women who, like her, were fighting to provide a better future for their children. With time, the foundation gained strength and visibility, and Neymar found himself more involved in the lives of other women like Theodora. As he learned stories of mothers in extreme situations, his commitment to the cause deepened. He never imagined how much that experience would impact him, but now, with each new story of overcoming adversity, he saw how it was possible to change lives in a real and lasting way. Theodora, with her experience, became a key figure in the foundation's development. She, who had once been lost and directionless, now not only had a stable job, but was also giving lectures, sharing her journey, and helping other women believe that it was possible to change their lives. Neymar looked at her with a quiet pride, seeing how she transformed every day and how his support had been fundamental in helping her reach her potential. But the most important thing for him was that, by helping Theodora, he was actually helping many other women who, like her, faced invisible battles. Theodora and Eloá became not only central figures in the foundation, but also a reflection of what was possible when help arrived at the right moment. Neymar became closer and closer to them, especially Theodora, and what began as a friendship between them, based on empathy and respect, gradually evolved into something deeper. Neymar, who had seen Theodora's life change before his eyes, began to fall in love with her. Theodora, in turn, also found herself emotionally involved, but it was difficult for her to believe that someone like Neymar, someone who had the world at his feet, could be interested in a woman like her, marked by daily struggles and difficulties. However, over time, the connection between them grew naturally until they became a couple. What was a simple act of help turned into a genuine love story, built on mutual respect and gratitude for the journey they had shared so far. Neymar and Theodora's relationship seemed to have solidified in an almost unexpected way, but at the same time, very naturally. Together, they faced the challenges of the new life they were creating. For Theodora, Neymar's love represented not only emotional support, but a way to prove to herself that her life hadn't ended the moment she felt lost. She, who had faced so many difficulties, now had someone by her side who saw her as a human being with potential, not as a victim of circumstances. Their union, far from the spotlight and Neymar's public image, was something much simpler and deeper. Their love grew little by little, in the quiet of honest conversations, in the moments of shared vulnerability, and in the constant support they gave each other. For Neymar, being by Theodora's side represented not only a new way of looking at the world, but also an opportunity to live a true love story. Away from the distractions and expectations his career imposed on him. As the months passed, the foundation expanded, and Neymar realized that he was now more involved with this cause than with his own football career. He had always known that his influence could be used for good, but by witnessing the real impact his foundation was having on the lives of so many families, he felt that he had found a greater purpose than any victory on the field. Theodora, now directly involved in the foundation's actions, began giving talks about how the help and support of people like Neymar had transformed her life, and she became an active voice in the fight for opportunities for women in vulnerable situations. Eloá, in turn, grew up surrounded by love and care, seeing her mother's transformation and witnessing the radical change they were living. She began to be proud of her mother's strength and the example Neymar represented, not only as a player, but as a human being. Neymar's foundation became a symbol of transformation, not only for Theodora and Eloá, but for many other families who, before his intervention, lived on the margins of opportunities. Each new project launched by the foundation, each woman who felt welcomed and empowered to change her reality, showed Neymar that his mission was far from over. He began making regular visits to shelters and homes, not only to promote the foundation, but to witness firsthand the difficulties many women faced every day. These visits became a moment of deep reflection for Neymar, who found himself in situations where he couldn't simply provide resources or a quick fix. The stories he heard touched him in a way he never imagined possible. He, who had been a public figure, was increasingly becoming a defender of social causes, using his visibility to shed light on the stories of people who, like Theodora, needed a chance to rebuild their lives. He now saw the real impact of his efforts, and this motivated him even more to keep going. Theodora, in turn, was transforming before her very eyes. The woman who once felt helpless, lost, and directionless was now a reference for so many other women who found themselves in her former position. She had not only overcome the difficulties of finding a job and stability, but she had also become an advocate for women who, like her, were fighting to offer a better future for their children. She felt an immense gratitude toward Neymar, not only for his immediate help, but for the way he had given her a new perspective on life. For her, he was more than a friend or a partner. He was the reason she got back up when she thought she couldn't anymore. And as the foundation grew, she became even more involved, helping other women discover their own strength. Together, Theodora and Neymar created a legacy, not just of love and overcoming, but of real transformation in the lives of many people who, like them, were looking for a chance to start over. Neymar's foundation not only helped countless women, but it also brought a new perspective to his personal life. With each new project, with each transformation story he witnessed, he felt a satisfaction he had never experienced on the football field. He knew that his place in the world, as one of the greatest football players on the planet, gave him a unique platform to make a difference. However, the real change happened within him. He began to value the smaller gestures of kindness even more and saw how emotional support and the presence of people who believe in you can change the course of a life. Football, which had once been his greatest passion, was now only a part of who he was. His work with the foundation, the impact he was having on the lives of so many families, became Neymar's priority. And it was at that moment that he realized that by helping people like Theodora and Eloá, he was also helping himself. The love and gratitude he received from them were the confirmation that he was on the right path, and this fueled his own transformation. Theodora, more confident than ever, had become a natural leader within the foundation. She led workshops and events, inspiring other mothers and women to rise up and seek the opportunities they thought were out of reach. She knew that her story could be the key to opening doors for other women, and that was what motivated her to keep going. The bond between her and Neymar grew stronger over time, and they began to build not just a social project, but a shared life. Their romance, which began as a genuine friendship, became a foundation for both of them. While many around Neymar tried to reduce the significance of their relationship to a simple fairy tale, for him and Theodora, it was the foundation of something much deeper. They were together because they had built a future based on respect and mutual transformation, not just attraction. The connection between them was more than emotional. It represented everything they had overcome and achieved together. Neymar's foundation, now a solid and widely recognized platform, began transforming lives in even more significant ways. Each mother helped, each success story made Neymar feel more connected to the greater purpose he had found. Theodora, besides being a pillar for the foundation, was also becoming a different woman every day. She had rebuilt her life with effort and support, and now her confidence seemed unshakable. When the first women started finding jobs and stability with the help of the foundation, Theodora couldn't help but feel emotional. Seeing other mothers achieve what she had once achieved was a greater reward than any money or public recognition. The foundation had become more than just a project. It was a reflection of the struggle of so many women who, like her, believed that with the right support, they could start over. With each smile, with each thank you message, Theodora knew that she was living what once seemed impossible. She was helping to build a better future for other people. Neymar and Theodora's relationship continued to grow and mature. They became more than just a couple. They were partners in every sense. Their life, now full of challenges, was also filled with gratitude and constant learning. Neymar, who had already experienced the pressure of cameras and worldwide fame, discovered that the true meaning of success lay in the impact he could have on other people's lives. He, who once only fought for titles on the field, now knew how to fight for people. With every new achievement of the foundation, he felt like he was writing a different kind of success story. He knew that the transformation he had brought to Theodora and Eloá was not unique. Many other families were beginning to change their lives with the foundation's help. For Neymar, this was no longer just a project. It was a true life mission, a mission that had transformed him as a person and was now helping to transform the world around him. The foundation, as it continued to grow, became a true reference for supporting vulnerable mothers. Partnerships with companies started to produce increasingly significant results, and the visibility Neymar brought to the cause helped mobilize even more resources and support. The stories of women who, before, had nowhere to go began to be shared at events, conferences, and even on social media. Theodora became a central figure, not just as a leader within the foundation, but as an example of overcoming. When she spoke about her journey, women listened to her attentively, with renewed hope that even when everything seemed lost, there was still a chance. Neymar always supported her, but what moved him the most was the sparkle in Theodora's eyes when she spoke about her new role in the lives of so many women. She had found herself not just as a mother or a woman, but as a leader capable of inspiring and transforming. With time, the foundation began to be recognized by international organizations, and the results were undeniable. The mothers who had gone through extreme situations were now rebuilding their lives, and the success stories began to be shared worldwide. Neymar and Theodora, as leaders of this movement, were frequently invited to participate in conferences, seminars, and impact events, but what mattered most to them was the day-to-day work. They never lost their connection with the people they were helping, and that made all the difference. The greatest prize for them wasn't in public recognition, but in the real change they were making in the lives of the women and children they touched. With each new story of overcoming, Neymar and Theodora felt more empowered in their mission. For both of them, this transformation was more than a reward. It was a calling, something that had given new purpose to their lives. The impact of the foundation grew to the point that it began generating a domino effect. More companies became interested in associating with the project, and more importantly, support for the cause multiplied. Neymar, with Teodora's support, knew that the foundation needed to go beyond just financial support. They began creating specific training programs, offering professional qualifications for women seeking a new chance in the job market. Teodora, with her life experience, led these programs with immense dedication, helping women feel confident and prepared to face the world. For Neymar, seeing women gain independence and find their own professional path was the greatest reward he could receive. He felt more fulfilled seeing them transform their realities than when he won any football trophy. The foundation was no longer just a mission. It was a true support network that impacted lives in a concrete way. What had once seemed like a one-time help had now become a solid movement with a firm foundation and a clear mission. For Teodora, the progress of the foundation was also a way to validate her own journey. Looking back and seeing how much she had achieved since that encounter with Neymar in the mall made her feel immense pride. Not only had she risen again, but she had helped other women do the same. Mothers who, like her, had faced immense difficulties now had the opportunity to change their lives. And this made Teodora feel that her struggle had been worth it. She knew that her story was not unique, but she was happy to be the voice for many women who were trying every day to find a way to improve their lives. Neymar's support, which never limited itself to being just a partner, but was a true force at every stage of the process, made all the difference. Together, they were transforming lives, and for Teodora, this became the greatest meaning of success she could have. As the foundation became a true reference, Neymar and Teodora found themselves more united than ever. They began to create not just a life together, but also a more solid and promising future for many others. The work with the foundation brought them closer in a unique way, as they shared a common purpose that went beyond any personal or professional relationship they had lived before. What united them was not just love, but the sincere desire to do something meaningful for the world around them. For Neymar, life alongside Teodora was now his greatest achievement, because it wasn't just about helping, it was about seeing in practice how that help was transforming the future of women and children. Teodora, in turn, felt that this relationship, which had begun with a simple gesture, had become something deeper than she could have imagined. Together, they were not just a couple, but an unbeatable team, determined to continue making a difference and transforming the reality of other families who, like hers, were fighting to build a better future. As the impact of the foundation expanded, Teodora began to realize that true transformation didn't just come from programs or financial investments, but from strengthening women as a whole. Their self-esteem, their confidence, their sense of belonging, all of this was essential to ensure the change would be lasting. And she, with her story of overcoming, had become a great source of inspiration for all the mothers who found refuge in the foundation. The relationship between Teodora and Neymar was becoming stronger as they saw the fruits of their work. For Teodora, being part of the foundation was more than just a way to help other women. It was a way to honor her own journey, to look back and see that all the difficulties she faced had indeed been worth it. She knew that without Neymar's support, she wouldn't have reached where she was, but she also knew that their work together was now creating a foundation for other women to follow in her footsteps, and that made her feel deeply satisfied. The relationship between Neymar and Teodora reached new heights, not only as partners, but also as leaders of a movement that was transforming the lives of so many women and their families. They were no longer just a famous couple. They were a symbol that with the right support, any woman could achieve independence and dignity. For Neymar, this meant more than any championship or award won on the field. He knew his influence was helping to change the lives of many people in a way he never imagined. He was building something lasting that would have an impact far beyond cameras or newspaper headlines. Theodora, in turn, continued to be the leader and inspiration for so many women who now had the chance to start over. Her work within the foundation wasn't just a job, it was a personal mission to give others the opportunity she herself had received. Seeing women achieving new jobs, rising up, and giving a better future to their children was the greatest reward she could have. Neymar and Theodora were creating a support network that not only transformed lives, but also gave hope to all the women who once believed opportunities were far from their reach. The foundation, which had started with a simple act of kindness, was now a true powerhouse, helping thousands of women start over. Neymar and Theodora knew their work was far from complete, but they were satisfied with the results they had achieved so far. What had started as a one-time help had become a platform that transformed realities. And for both of them, the reward lay in the process, in the journey they were taking together. The greatest lesson of all this time was that true change begins within each person and is nourished by the strength of a solid support network. They had created something that not only improved the lives of the women they helped, but also shaped them as individuals. For Neymar, understanding that his greatest legacy wasn't in goals or titles, but in the lives he had helped to transform, was a revelation that completely changed his perspective on what truly mattered. The foundation was no longer just a social project, it was the heart of his life now, something he knew he would follow forever. As the years passed, the foundation solidified as one of the largest organizations supporting women in vulnerable situations in Brazil. Neymar and Theodora, now more mature and experienced, realized that their work not only impacted women directly, but also generated a shift in society as a whole. The simple act of helping a mother find stability, a job, a new home, wasn't just a personal transformation. It was a reflection that solidarity and empathy could indeed change the destiny of a country. They looked at what they had built together with pride and, more importantly, what they would continue to build because they knew the work wasn't over. With each new woman who stood tall, the impact multiplied, creating a cycle of transformation that went beyond any expectations they had. For Neymar, the foundation had become the most important thing in his life. He no longer had the same ambition to conquer more titles or more fame. His true success was in helping people achieve a better future, and he knew that was something priceless. Theodora, in turn, became an essential figure within the foundation. Her life journey and her constant fight for the survival and dignity of women had made her one of the strongest advocates for this cause. She, who had once been an unsupported woman, was now the voice that inspired thousands. She knew her life had changed irreversibly, and that wasn't just due to luck, but the result of hard work and the decision to believe in herself when the whole world seemed to turn its back on her. Over time, she also became a reference for other organizations seeking to replicate the foundation's model. What Theodora and Neymar had created wasn't just a social organization, it was a movement that raised urgent issues that needed to be discussed. And while Neymar watched the foundation grow, he knew that the true impact lay in the transformation of every woman who had passed through it. For Theodora, that was the greatest reward. She didn't need anything else to feel fulfilled except knowing that she had indeed changed the lives of so many women who now, like her, could look toward the future with hope. As the foundation continued to grow and the impact of their actions increased, Neymar realized that his life had changed in ways he never anticipated. He, who had a world-famous career, now saw his life's mission as much bigger than football. The reality of the women he helped through the foundation, with their stories of struggle, suffering, and overcoming, made him understand the privilege he had. It was something he had never considered before, but now it motivated him to keep going. Neymar began to understand that true greatness didn't come from trophies or fame, but from the ability to transform the lives of others. Looking at Theodora, who had once been adrift, now an empowered woman and leader, he felt immense gratitude for everything they had built together. What began with a simple act of helping Eloá turned into a life mission. He could no longer turn back. With every new advancement of the foundation, Neymar felt stronger and more fulfilled, and the idea that he was contributing to something bigger made him see the world with new eyes. Theodora, for her part, also felt her life had changed in a profound way. She knew Neymar's help was crucial for her transformation, but the true change came from within her. The foundation, the opportunities, the support, all of it gave her a chance to start over, but she had to take the first step on her own. She, who once saw herself as a woman with no options, now saw herself as a warrior. What once seemed impossible now seemed like an achievable reality. The impact she had on the foundation was undeniable, and Theodora began to see herself as a source of inspiration for other women. She shared with them the difficulties she had faced, but also the victories, no matter how small, and how each one had been a step toward a better life. She understood that the struggle was constant, but that, with support, focus, and courage, it was possible to achieve something much greater than mere survival. Theodora felt alive, stronger, and more connected to her purpose than ever before. With the passing of time, Neymar found himself increasingly involved not only in the operational aspects of the foundation, but also in the lives of many of the women being helped. He spoke with them, heard their stories, and tried, in the best way possible, to offer advice that could make a difference. Some of the stories were heartbreaking, but he felt immense satisfaction in seeing the spark of hope in the eyes of the women who, one day, were like Theodora, lost, not knowing where to start. He began to understand that his role in the foundation wasn't just to be the recognizable face bringing visibility to the project, but someone who had the power to directly influence lives in a concrete way. More and more, he wanted to be in the field, in the place where things really happened, not just in meetings or behind the scenes. He wanted to see the real impact of their actions and feel that his presence was making something meaningful. Theodora, who closely followed this growing involvement, felt proud of what they had built. Together, she knew there was no manual for this, but that their work was making a difference, and that in itself was a huge reason to celebrate. Their relationship, which was already strong and deep, began to face a new phase. Neymar, with all his involvement in the foundation, began to divide his time between football and social causes. But football was no longer the only thing that filled him. He now knew that his journey was much broader. Theodora, too, had found a balance between her professional and personal life, but the love that had blossomed between them became even stronger, more mature. They were learning to juggle their roles as partners in love and work. Together, they created something that transcended each of their professional lives. The mutual support, respect, trust, and affection were present in every decision they made, whether in personal life or in the development of the foundation. Although time was not always in their favor, they found ways to make their relationship grow, adapt, and strengthen with the challenges. What once seemed like a simple act of kindness was now becoming a solid and enduring pillar, helping to support everything, the family they were building together. As the foundation consolidated itself as one of the most respected organizations in the country, Neymar felt the magnitude of what he had managed to create. He knew his name wouldn't just be remembered for his goals or sports achievements, but primarily for the lives he had impacted. The feeling of accomplishment he experienced was something entirely new, something that couldn't be compared to any victory on the field. He had found a purpose that went beyond fame and wealth. Looking at Theodora, he knew that his journey with her had changed everything. not just for her and Eloá, but for so many other families who were being rescued by the foundation. Theodora, with her strength and courage, had now become a leader among the women being helped, and Neymar was proud of that. What started with a simple encounter in the mall had turned into a mission that changed the lives of many people, and quietly transformed him as well. He now understood the true value of his legacy, and football had become just one part of this larger story. Theodora, for her part, felt that her life had been molded in a completely new way. The woman who, years ago, felt lost, now saw herself as a strong woman capable of inspiring others to change their realities. She no longer saw herself as a victim of circumstances, but as a woman who had overcome adversity. Her transformation wasn't just external, but also internal. Theodora started to believe in herself in ways she never had before. And it wasn't just because of the changes in her financial or social life, but because of the confidence she had gained from seeing the direct impact of the foundation. Every woman she helped, every success story, fueled her own faith that the impossible was indeed achievable. Neymar had always been by her side, not just as a partner, but as someone who helped open doors she never thought she could cross. For Theodora, the most important thing was realizing that she was no longer alone. She now had a support network, and that made all the difference. As the foundation continued to grow and more women were impacted, Neymar began reflecting on how he had personally transformed during this journey. He, who had always centered his life around football, began to realize that the most significant moments weren't on the field, but in the small victories that the foundation made possible. The smile of a mother who finally landed a job, the gratitude in the eyes of a woman who was able to give a better life to her children, all of that now filled him up. Neymar knew that over the years he had gained fame and success, but he never imagined that true fulfillment would come from helping others. Theodora, by his side, had also become more than just a partner in love. She was the driving force behind the foundation's success. Together, they were creating something that surpassed the limits of what anyone could have imagined. What began as a simple act of kindness was now a true social revolution, and Neymar felt immensely proud to be at the forefront of this transformation. Theodora, seeing the growth of the foundation and the transformation of her own life, felt more confident than ever. She knew that the fight for women's rights wouldn't end with the foundation, but she also knew that they were making a difference. For her, the greatest reward wasn't recognition, but seeing other women overcome the obstacles she had once faced. She, who had once believed her destiny was sealed by the lack of opportunities and support, was now a source of hope for many others. The relationship with Neymar, now stronger than ever, was an important pillar for her, but her true motivation was in the lives she saw being transformed. Looking to the future, Theodora knew that the seeds being planted today would ensure a more equal tomorrow for many women still fighting to be seen and heard. For her, that was the legacy that truly mattered. As the foundation gained more visibility, Neymar found himself increasingly involved in the social and political issues that directly affected the women seeking support. He began to understand that, in addition to the work being done by the foundation, it was also necessary to influence changes in public policies to ensure that the transformation would be broader and more lasting. He started meeting with authorities and influencers to discuss ways to support mothers and women in vulnerable situations, convinced that, without government and corporate involvement, change wouldn't be fully effective. Theodora, with her practical experience, became an essential advisor in this process, helping Neymar direct his efforts effectively. She knew that, for women to have more opportunities, it was necessary to change the way society viewed them. She, who had once been ignored and marginalized, was now helping to write a new chapter for those still on the margins. For Neymar, The realization that his foundation was influencing public policies was an immense victory. He was no longer just a public figure who donated money or ran campaigns. He was truly shaping the future for those women. Theodora, for her part, was more connected than ever to her own mission. She felt more capable, stronger, and more secure in her role as an advocate for the women who found themselves in the same situation she had lived through. Her fight was now beyond her own needs. She knew she was helping to create a path for a better future for many other women. When she looked at the trajectory of the foundation, she saw a robust support network and a change that not only reached the women directly, but also started to reverberate in society as a whole. For her, the greatest reward of this process was seeing that, thanks to the work they were doing, many women were now facing a more hopeful future, something that once seemed impossible. She knew that the real power was in the hands of these women, but that the foundation and the community they had created together were creating the conditions for them to reach their full potential. Her journey, with Neymar by her side, hadn't been easy, but now it was a testament to how, with the right strength, anyone could change their story. The foundation was reaching new horizons, and with that, Neymar and Theodora began to be recognized as leaders of a social movement that didn't just help, but educated and empowered women to take control of their own lives. They realized that their work was yielding deeper results than they had ever imagined. Women who had once been dependent on external help were now becoming entrepreneurs, educators, and leaders in their communities. For Neymar, seeing these transformations was one of the greatest sources of pride in his life. He never knew that, by choosing to support Theodora and Eloá, he was creating such a large social legacy. However, he knew that without Theodora's joint effort, that impact would not have been the same. She, with her hard work and dedication, had been the force behind many of the foundation's advances. For Neymar, it was impossible not to see how, by helping Theodora, he had also helped himself. He wasn't just changing the destinies of other people. His own perspective on life had also been transformed. He began to live in a fuller way, with a purpose greater than he had ever imagined. Theodora, for her part, knew her work was only just beginning. She now saw herself as a leader who, beyond her personal story, had the power to influence the lives of thousands of other women. She didn't want to just be an inspiration, but a true source of change. Her focus now was on expanding the foundation to other regions, to reach women in different parts of Brazil who also needed the same help she had received in the past. She knew that change wouldn't happen overnight, but she was determined to ensure that at some point every woman in a vulnerable situation would have access to the same support network she had found. The relationship with Neymar, now stronger than ever, was an important pillar for her. But her true motivation lay in the lives she saw being transformed. Looking ahead, Theodora knew the seeds being planted today would guarantee a more equal tomorrow for many women still fighting to be seen and heard. For her, that was the legacy that truly mattered. As the foundation gained more recognition, Neymar and Theodora began to realize that, despite all the success they had achieved, the real work was still ahead. They knew that transforming lives wasn't something that could be achieved quickly or easily. The foundation was expanding, but the fight against the inequalities and social barriers that women faced was still a significant challenge. Neymar, who had once only thought about victories on the field, now found himself immersed in a much larger life mission. With every new project, with every story of overcoming, he felt he was in the right place, doing the right thing. But more than that, he understood that his own life, alongside Theodora, had become a true journey of growth. He realized that by helping others rise, he was also rising. The foundation, which had started as a simple idea to help a mother and her daughter, was now transforming into a real social movement that was touching lives across the country. Theodora, with her tireless spirit, continued to lead the foundation with the same passion and dedication as when it all began. Now, more experienced and confident, she understood that change wouldn't come from one-time projects, but from continuous work based on concrete actions that would generate lasting results. She knew that emotional support, professional training, psychological assistance, all of that was essential to ensure women felt empowered to achieve their goals. When she looked at the path she had walked, from a vulnerable woman to the leader of a transformative movement, Theodora felt immense gratitude. But she also knew their work had no end. She felt deeply connected to the Foundation's mission and knew that, with Neymar's support, they could continue changing many lives. The impact they were creating was something that transcended the simple act of helping. It was a true revolution in the way society thought and acted, and Theodora was proud to be one of the leaders of this change. Time passed, and the Foundation became a global reference in social transformation. Neymar and Theodora now saw themselves in a much larger role than they could have imagined at the start of this journey. The work of both, along with thousands of other women, had created a support network that didn't just help, but empowered every person it touched. These women, once on the margins of society, were now being heard, supported, and valued. Neymar, who had never imagined his life would take such a turn, now knew that the legacy of the Foundation would be the greatest of all his achievements. The feeling of seeing so many women, like Theodora, finding their strength and becoming leaders, transformed his life in a way he could never have anticipated. For Theodora, the greatest gift was being able to look toward the future with confidence, knowing her work was making a difference in the lives of many other people. She knew that the impact of the Foundation would be felt for generations, and that motivated her to keep going, tirelessly searching for more ways to help. In the end, what started with a simple encounter at a mall and an act of kindness turned into a story of overcoming and love. Neymar and Theodora together managed to transform the lives of so many women and create a social movement that would deeply impact society. What once seemed impossible, changing someone's life so profoundly, became a tangible reality. The lives that had been transformed over the years were now living proof that with the right help, anyone can overcome adversity. Neymar, who had always had football as the center of his life, now knew that the true meaning of his journey lay in something much deeper, the ability to transform the world around him. The Foundation continued to thrive, and Theodora, with her strength and determination, became a symbol of hope for thousands of women. Together, they proved that true transformation begins when we decide to help one another, and that with love and support, it is possible to rewrite life stories.